We just talked about the healing power of laughter, and we're going to talk about another kind of healing here with our Circle of Friends Club member, Esther Wright. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about what the Circle of Friends Club is all about for folks who don't know about it. It's a pretty new club, right?
Oh, no, actually, we've been in existence here for 8 years.
Oh, 8 years, I'm sorry.
8 years. No, it's okay. And many of the people in our group have been with us from the very beginning. Their lives have improved and changed, and so they stay with us, and they're like my family, like my extended family. Mm-hmm. And the Circle of Friends is a nonprofit international organization focused on spiritual healing. And, you know, when I was coming to Southern California, I was living in Portland leading a group, and I'm a volunteer. I don't get paid, I'm a volunteer. Mm-hmm. And everyone is a volunteer in the Circle of Friends. But anyway, I was in Portland living there, and I came here to visit my dad, and I realized, look at all the people that live here that are dealing with difficulties, health difficulties, financial difficulties, and so on. I said this would be the perfect place to start a Circle of Friends. So in my living room, in the condo that I purchased over near Gate 7, we've started meeting. And people really got the message. In fact, we showed this film that I'll be talking about, and that was how many of the people got introduced to the Circle of Friends.
Okay. Well, tell me a little bit about, like, in general, what you feel like the power of healing is all about, and healing emotionally, healing physically, and,
Yes.
and all of those things.
Yes. So, you know, nobody wants to be in pain. Nobody wants to suffer. Nobody wants to struggle. And it seems like there seems to be a lot of that's happening in the world right now. And as we age, I happen to be 82. I don't believe that, but I am. But, but I realize that when people get to be in their 70s and 80s, they frequently have physical issues or emotional issues, or their partner passes away, or they don't have enough money to pay for their mortgage. So people suffer, and they suffer because they don't sometimes know what to do about it. So what I have discovered is that there is a resource available to us 24/7, and it's Bruno Groening, who's the person I'm going to be speaking about, and the film is about Bruno Groening. I'll be talking about the film in a minute. But what I've discovered after being involved with this for 17 years as a volunteer is that I really like the fact that there are no requirements. There's no money required. We have no membership fees. Bruno himself would never accept money from people who he healed. He healed thousands of people, but he would never accept money because he said, God is actually healing you. So our group is not a religious group. It's a spiritual group, and that's different. In fact, the Circle of Friends is interesting in that we have all faiths represented in the group. We have Christians, Jews, Hindu, Buddhist, Muslim. They're all part of our group.
Right. And so it's not so much a structure of an organized religion,
No.
but just really kind of the belief in the power of healing and the spirituality of
That's
that,
right.
And so talk to us about Bruno. He was around in the 40s and 50s,
That's right.
and he was doing his work. Tell us a little about the film and what it's all about and who he was.
So the film is about his life. It's the story of Bruno's life. And Bruno was brought to the world, he felt, to bring people closer to God. And he was very connected to God, very powerfully connected to God. And he wanted people in Germany at the end of the war to reconnect with God. He felt that they had lost their sense of connection to God. So he believed that by having people come together and be healed just by being in his presence, he didn't have to do anything. He would just stand on a balcony or talk with them, and people who were deaf, blind, unable to walk would be healed spontaneously. And no one could kind of understand how that could happen because spiritual healing wasn't a popular topic at the time. Mm-hmm. But the fact is, Bruno had these extraordinary gifts. And he was a very humble man. He was not medically trained. He did not have university training. But he would have 20 or 30,000 people show up. There were no computers in the 40s
Sure.
and 50s, but people, word of mouth, people would hear about a neighbor, a friend, a family member who couldn't hear, couldn't see, couldn't walk, and they would spend, an hour or two with Bruno in a group like this, and they would be healed. Mm-hmm. And he had teachings that were very interesting, and we share those teachings with people. And in the film, you get a chance to actually witness almost 50 people who were healed during the time that Bruno was alive. Mm-hmm. He's no longer alive. However, they took this film so that people who were in his presence and healed, like there's a guy in the film, he's my favorite testimonial. He had 4th stage cancer, stomach cancer, And he was told by his physicians that he would only live a few more months. And then when they're filming him, he's in his 70s. He's outlived all the doctors who predicted his death. And you can't help but be impressed because this is a man who's got tears in his eyes, and he's sharing how grateful he is for his life and the fact that Bruno and God were there for him. And so we have a film coming on October 27th. It's a lengthy film, and in fact, if you notice the time, some people are going to wonder, well, 12 to 6, which is why we're offering food, because for free, free food, and that's a big thing in Laguna Woods. People like myself like to eat, but the fact is, we have done this film before, and we realized we need to have breaks, and we need to have food, and we need to have people available to answer questions.
Right.
So it's from 12 to 6 because it's shown in 3 parts that day. And it's the story of Bruno's life, and you have all these witnesses and testimonials sharing their stories.
Now, we have witness and testimonies, and I don't mean to cast any dispersions Bruno's way, but obviously those are things that a lot of false prophets have been around in the day, a lot of false healers and people who say, send us your money. I know you, like you said, you don't take money, but send us your money and God will heal you and those kinds of things. How was it documented? Do you know what the kind of documentation of people?
Wonderful question. So we don't talk about our illness or our problems in the meeting. It's not allowed. That's, we have no real restrictions because Bruno believed that we were given free will for a reason. But there's one thing that we very strongly emphasize, which was Bruno's idea. You don't talk about your condition, you don't worry, you don't complain, and you're not fearful. And if you want it taken from you, you have to be willing to let it go. Okay. So we don't talk about it until it's healed. So in our meetings, one of the sections every time, we meet every 3 weeks, is people coming to the front of the room and sharing their healings. And I can give you an example. And then we have 4,000.
We're running out a little bit of time, so I want to recap the movie, when, where, one more time before we go.
Okay, so it's Friday, October 27th. That's the only day we were able to get a room. And it's from 12 to 6 with breaks. And there'll be people there who are in the circle of friends who can talk to people and share their stories, who are neighbors. And I'll just tell you that people who come to the film have had healings from watching the film. I know it means it's hard to believe. We don't promise it. We don't guarantee it.
There we go.
But we also have 4,000 physicians around the country who ask for documentation for people's healings. And I will tell you something amazing. In our group here in Laguna Woods, 2 of our members are MDs. We have 2 members in our group who are medical doctors, and they're in our group.
Well, Esther Wright from the Circle of Friends Club, thank you very much. I hope you have success at the filming.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
We come back, we're going to preview Saturday and Friday's movies. Stay with us.